I'm good. I'm just trying to wake up, man. You called
Sorry,
me like 2 hours earlier than I thought I would be.
yeah, I gotta fucking I gotta go to work and shit. So we
I
got
thought you had I thought you had Easter Monday off. I
no, we had Friday off, but not Monday.
okay. No,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get both days off here. Um,
Hmm.
geez, so yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this parliamentary deal between the Liberals and the NDP. But
Yeah, yeah. So
first
can you
you
give us
can
a little roundup, basically?
yeah, sure. Just introduce yourself to your stream first.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So hey everyone, I'm Heem. Twitch.tv/Heem, and also on YouTube at Heem. And I'm like a political streamer, but kind of a normie. And yeah, like a variety streamer is probably best. And I stream Monday to Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 9 a.m. And yeah, it's always a good fun time. You never really know what you're gonna get. So come check it out. And you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jer. I'm one of the co-producer on the Nordic Model, a channel where we talk about different democratic socialist and social democrat policies and concepts, ideas, that kind of stuff. We have a podcast called The Interview, accessible pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, YouTube, you name it, we're there.
How is it tough to get your podcast on? I need to do that.
Uh, Getting the podcast going, it's not that tough. I mean,
Like to get it
honestly,
on all those platforms and stuff. I need to do that.
no. I could show you how. It's easy
All
if
right.
you use like Anchor FM as like a hub, and then you just connect your RSS link to
All
all
right,
your different
cool.
platforms, and then as soon as you upload it there, it'll upload it everywhere else.
All right, we got hit me up later. We got to chat.
Yeah, sure. And by the way, for everyone who wants to check out Heem's stream, I set up the link in the description.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, no
Oh,
problem. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this new deal between the Liberals and the NDP, talking about some parliamentary politics.
dope. Let's do it.
All right, so there was some interesting talk about it, saying that it would be hurting the NDP in the long run, strategy-wise.
So just give me a quick
And
recap of exactly what happened first.
okay, well, it actually all goes back to the trucker convoy.
Okay.
So after the trucker convoy, the Liberals' popular opinion was just down the hole. They were doing really badly, and essentially, like Justin Trudeau was being such a hard ass that he almost forced a confidence vote, which would have forced us into another election just a few months after we've had our previous one. And it's mainly what pushed the NDP to vote in favor of the Emergency Act. Essentially, that the Liberals strong armed them by threatening them with another election, knowing that the NDP couldn't afford one right now because elections are really expensive and the NDP's broke.
So basically, by threatening a election, which would have costed the NDP a lot of money in terms of campaigning, signs, all that shit, that they said like, hey, if you're not, if you don't cooperate with us here, that we're gonna have another election, and then you guys are fucked. So we'll be able to get gains on you.
Yeah, I mean, it was also the worst possible move for the Liberals to make in terms of like a gamble
But
because
but
their
the but
popular
the
opinion
conservatives
was
have no leader, right?
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like when you think about the moment for it, it was the worst possible thing to do for Canada because one, the Liberals were at their worst in terms of popular opinion. The NDP did not have the finances to campaign properly, and the Conservatives don't even have a party leader. So you have
Hmm.
one party that doesn't have the public opinion needed to really campaign properly. You have one party that doesn't have the finances to campaign properly. You have one party that doesn't even have a lander to campaign around.
Yeah, yeah.
And also to like launch an election right after another already early election, like a snap
Hmm.
election, it what kind of message does that send to the rest of the world? It just sends a message that your country is politically unstable,
Sure, yeah.
and that would have ended
So
up hurting a
basically,
lot of our relations abroad.
sure. So basically, they pushed like, hey, no election. In order to not have an election, you need to kind of back us on this emergency bill, right?
Yeah, essentially. And in return, the NDP went, okay, look, after all of this fucking fiasco, you're hurting, we're hurting. The conservatives are a shit show right now. They don't know what the fuck they're doing right now. Let's just do an act. Let's just like do something where we support you up until 2025. So if there's another confidence vote up until 2025, we'll maintain the current government. And in
The
exchange,
NDP, you're
you,
saying.
yeah, I mean, we don't know who
Like, wait,
initiated
so
it.
you're saying when you're saying we support you, you're saying that the deal is that the NDP would support the liberals.
The simple deal is that if there is a confidence vote, the NDP will vote to maintain the government and then avoid another election up until 2025.
Gotcha. Okay.
And in exchange, the NDP gets priority for key policies that are part of their platform. So right now, by the by the end of this year, we're gonna get dental care for all children 10 and below. By the end of
Really?
2023, that should be expanded to all children 18 and below.
And when you
And
say cover dental, what is that going to be?
so essentially, it's just a public insurance plan.
How much do you know?
It should. The way that they're advertising it, they say that they should be covering it like 100%, but that essentially it's gonna be like a plan where you pay, but but then the government reimburses you afterwards. Uh,
Gotcha. And that's pretty
and
sick.
for low income families, they want to set up a system where you don't have to pay the full thing. You just set up like a down payment to show that like
Oh,
you're
okay.
good for it, and then the government ends up like repaying you and covering the difference.
And so do you think that's really going to happen soon?
I believe, yeah, I believe it's already happened actually.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe it's like already like in the works right now. Um, but
Does it
yeah,
count braces? Yeah, I wonder. That's a good question.
uh,
Braces.
braces
Maybe not.
like I don't know if that counts as dentistry. I think that's ortho dentistry, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Um, so I
I mean,
would
it's
think
a
so.
step in the right
Ortho dentistry
direction,
is more like
anyways.
dentures. So
Or
yeah.
like it's a cosmetic, so it might not. Unless maybe they can prove that it's necessary. It's not just a cosmetic thing.
Hmm.
But anyways, that's interesting. So
So yeah, it's
and
a
yeah,
public
what does this
plan
mean?
for 12 and below. Then in 2022, in 2023, 18 and below, and then by 2025, it should be expanded to all low income households.
Damn.
And then there should also be a public pharmacare plan that should be implemented federally. Um, and so that should be pretty much similar to what I believe the RAMQ is, which is Quebec's pharmacare plan. It's just going to be implemented on a federal level instead, and then Quebec will probably end up not joining the federal plan but being compensated, so that in return Quebec maintains its own public plan and receives additional funding to be able to expand services.
And do you think that this is obviously a very good thing for the liberals, right?
I mean,
Like they
strategically
they they get
speaking,
to pass major policy. They get to look very progressive.
yeah, it looks good for the Liberals. Depending on how the NDP campaigns on it, it could also be really good for them. Because if the NDP just goes like,
Of
yeah,
course,
hey, look, we're the one who made this happen. We're the one who actually got this deal done and who got those
they
policies
pushed
passed
for it
through
from time,
through that
right?
deal. That was already part of all of our, platform. So you know who ended up pushing for those policies during the deal negotiations.
And
I believe
this
there's
is this is really gonna hurt
also.
the conservatives bad as well.
Yeah, actually, I've been looking at the conservative leader races, and right now it seems like no matter who wins, the people who like the party that wins out is the NDP.
Last time we spoke,
Especially if Poiliev wins, it's like if Poiliev wins, the parties who win the most are the PPC and the NDP.
last time we spoke, you said that Polivier would have no shot at winning. I think wasn't that you?
Oh, I would say that like he had a solid shot at winning the leadership, but if he does, he had no shot at winning a general election.
I think he's gonna. It's looking more and more like he might be the leader of the party, though.
Yeah, I know. It seemed that way from the very beginning, but the reality is that if the Conservative Party wants to win a general election, that they need to make gains outside of their strongholds. That is
Sure.
mainly Quebec and the GTA area, as well as the BC coastal area. Poilievre doesn't know how to really play those bases.
Do you think that basically, I mean, fuck, to get pharmacare and dental care passed is huge step towards a system that you and I obviously I think advocate for. Do you think that maybe childcare will be next? And also, what
Well,
about how we're gonna pay for this
we
shit?
already have. Well, that's already part of the budget right now. We're
What
already
is?
well, the dental care right now for 2022, and then there's going to be included in the budget for 2023, and then further on for 2024 and 2025. They're already including it in the budget.
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Well, it's the budget is planned on a yearly basis. So now, right
Yeah,
now, what's
yeah.
happening in 2022 are mainly the dental plan, and also what's happening in housing. Because they
Hmm.
part of the deal also included housing, where they're recalculating what is supposed to be an affordable housing based on
Hmm.
the NDP standard, which is I believe like $750 per month instead of the
Do,
Liberals 2,000. And
um,
also they're giving additional funding to create more public housing.
do you think? To me, it seems like Canada's down bad economically. What do you think about that? Just from like an
Right now,
outsider who's not really into like the reading up the financial times and shit like that.
not
But like to me
economically,
it
actually,
seems
right now
like
we're doing
there's
pretty good.
really
We've got some of the best. We've got one of the best recoveries, best COVID recoveries in the G7.
it feels like
Honestly, like,
housing costs are rising like crazy.
yeah,
No,
I mean
sorry,
that's
like
been a long.
living costs.
Yes, I mean inflation has been bad, like globally. It's been affecting pretty much every country in the world that was like reliant on trade a lot. Canada is one of them. The United States is one of them. A lot of Europe is one of them. That's just a sad effect of all of our supply lines being disrupted, and that's not fully reestablished. Not to mention, when it comes to gas prices, what's happening in Ukraine with all of the Russian oil being cut off from the global supplies in Europe and then in the rest of North America. We did used to import Russian oil. We don't anymore. A lot of the conservatives, they're always going about like, well, we need to use our own oil. The problem is our oil takes a lot of time to extract and then refine so that it's ready for consumer use. So right now, it's just not useful. It would take too long.
Do you think do you think
Maybe to create more emergency supplies, maybe to create like reserves, then that could be useful. But to like restock our oil supplies right now to be able to meet the current crisis, it wouldn't work.
now that the Liberals and the NDP have kind of teamed up twice now, right? Like once on the Emergencies Act, and now again a second time with this pharmacare that with that dental care. Sorry, do you think that they'll start to have this relationship where it's like, hey, we'll for every one liberal like thing, we'll give you one social thing. Like for example, do you think they
I
might
don't think it's as
trade?
clear cut as that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, when I just told you about when it came to the Emergency Act, the NDP got strong armed. It didn't want to vote yes. It kept on saying that
Well,
it kept on saying that
yeah,
it
but
could.
now in return they've been given an olive branch, let's say.
Well, we don't know who initiated the deal. Um, I believe it was the NDP because they're the ones who are marketing on it. They're the ones who have been sending out like their candidates and their deputies to speak out in the media. Jagmeet Singh just gave up an interview in Quebec media specifically because he's trying to make gains in Quebec. Right now they only have one seat in the province. They're trying to gain more. A lot of them can't like ended up losing out just by a hair in the previous election. So they could have made gains in the previous election if they just
Sorry,
had like
so
maybe a higher voter
my
turnout.
so my overarching point is like, do you think that we can expect, let's say, like the NDP cooperate on the pipeline,
No,
and then in return we'll give you UBI. Like now that they're seeing this working relationship.
No,
No, okay. So
no, I
there's
don't
some
see
things
that.
they're not gonna budge on.
No, right now already, like the NDP, despite the current deal, they're still speaking out against the pipeline. They're speaking out against the northern plan right now that Gilbo is launching. They're still like sticking to their own platform and sticking to their own positions.
Gotcha. So this is
Especially
like
since they're
this
strong
could
on
be a one-off.
especially since they're strong on indigenous reconciliation. They're not budging on that.
So are the liberals though.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with the liberals, especially with Trudeau. There are a lot of talk, and not a lot of action. The NDP, they haven't been in a big position to do a lot of action. This deal got them a good position to specifically advocate for their positions a lot harder and get some of their key policies through. I'm really happy about the housing. I'm really happy about the dental plan. I'm really happy about the pharmacare plan. I'm also really happy. Apparently, there's supposed to be an it's an anti-strike busting legislation that's supposed to pass next
Oh,
year.
really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be tabled next year.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so like during
It always
the
seemed to me
Renditions
like
Act.
it always seemed to me like the NDP and liberals should coalesce together and just crush the conservatives.
When it comes to voting in the House, a lot of the time, if it comes to blocking the conservatives from doing something bad, they do tend to vote in line. When it comes to like pushing more left, the NDP is always pushing the liberals left, always trying to push,
I guess it's a
that
balancing
line.
act,
And
yeah.
essentially, when we look at things like CERB, the liberals wanted a much more, um, scaled back version. The NDPs are the ones who pushed them forward to have the full amount for as long as we got. So when we
Yeah,
look at
makes
like
sense.
they do end up like kind of working together from an adversarial position where essentially like the liberals are in their center left way are trying to do some like minorly like good things for the population without really trying to do any kind of systemic change, whereas the NDP are pushing them in the ass trying to push for more
Get as
change.
much done as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that I guess the Canada is now socialist utopia?
No, far from it. I think that when it comes to you just look at the budget right now. When it comes to housing, it's a lot of working with the private sector that the liberals are talking about. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of the private sector. I think that currently, when we're dealing with a crisis, we have to look at our like personal principles aside and just go like, listen, we need the housing. Let's build the housing. Let's build as much affordable and social housing as possible. Let's build as much market rate housing as possible. Let's just build as much housing as we can of all kinds.
True.
That's what I'm currently pushing. I've been in talk with, an urban development advocate who also has his own YouTube channel called Paige Saunders. He's an immigrant from New Zealand who lived in Yellowknife for some time. Now he lives in Montreal, and we, our talks about a big transit project that's going on in Montreal called Heem, light rail project that would help serve two underserved communities in the eastern neighborhoods of Montreal. It's been facing some NIMBY oppositions, and
Mm.
we're trying to essentially help advocate for it. And on my end, I'm dealing, because I'm a coordinator slash the official representative for Quebec Solidaire Montreal, so the regional coordination committee of Quebec Solidaire, which is the Social Democrat slash Democratic Socialist Party of Quebec. And
I w- yeah, go ahead, sorry.
sorry, yeah, and we've faced some opposition on our end, and the party itself is also trying to adopt more of a populist approach. And so, the more public outcry there is against certain aspects of the project, the more we end up decrying those certain aspects of the project. And we also have some experts that have talked about it. There's conflicting views. It seems like there's a lot of institutional like debacles on it. But yeah, I'm trying to find, let's say, solutions that would still align with the party view, whereas Page is trying to advocate for the current plan to go through, and I'm just hoping for the best either way.
True. Um, I wonder. We have a not federal, sorry, provincial election coming up in June. I wonder, that'll kind of be a checkpoint to see where where the people are at least in Ontario. I wonder if
Right. Yeah. It's
the Conservatives are going to win again.
from what I've been seeing in the polls, it's Ford Nation in Ontario, it's Legault Nation in Quebec. We're both heading into an election. Sorry about that. We're both headed into an election. It's going to be interesting for me to see, especially as a candidate. It's gonna be strange.
You're running
Yeah.
for
I suppose I
which
had to make
party?
that announcement at some point. Yeah, for Quebec Solidaire.
What is
I'm
that?
It's the Democratic Socialist / Social Democratic Party of Quebec. And well, we're also separatist, big on reconciliation. Essentially pushing for Quebec to be its own country, but in very specific terms, where First Nations are given a seat at the table. If they join Quebec as an independent country, they do so on their term of their own volition. If they want to remain within Canada, that's also their choice. We give them that choice. We want to essentially, it's all about like an acknowledgement of national sovereignty of both Quebec, of the First Nations, and of the different communities of Quebec. We push ourselves to be very as progressive as possible, and
Do you think so? You're running to be what, the premier, or just like you're one of the candidates?
no, I'm right now. I'm running to become I suppose what you would call is an MPP.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
gotcha. Provincial member of parliament.
Yeah. Well, we call it a national assembly, so it would be a provincial deputy.
Gotcha. And have you been campaigning and shit?
My candidacy hasn't been officialized yet. I still need.
Oh,
Right now, I'm running essentially for the party primaries. I'm running, so I need to have a minimum of signatures from different party members.
mm,
I only need a handful now, so like I just need like two. So it's pretty much like pretty sure that I'm gonna have them by the time I need them. And after
gotcha. Have you
that,
ever said
it's.
the N word or anything like that? Just you might as well come clean with it now.
I mean, not until now, but if you ask me nicely.
Have you ever done blackface or anything weird that we should know about?
Not that I recall. I believe the only time I've ever painted myself brown was when I was playing a tree in a school play.
Racist. There you go. Your opponents are gonna be using this clip. There you go. Just give me a shout out if your opponents do use this clip. Um, Interesting. Well, there you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can
It's gonna be an interesting ride. But I think that right now I'm running in a liberal stronghold. I don't really expect to be winning.
come
Really
on,
expect.
not with that attitude. Come
Hey,
on, shock the nation.
I'm gonna be fighting either way. But what I'm trying to do is build a base so that I can run again in 2026 and have a better chance.
Oh, gotcha. This
I'm
is
playing
like
the long
your
game.
beer hall putsch or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how things are going in Ontario. Here it's pretty rough, but it's
In what way?
well, with it seems like Legault is winning again, but now the conservative party here is gaining a lot of ground because of just general public discontent with the government. They're our version of the PPC essentially. Um,
Gotcha. You should
and
start debating them. That's what I did.
oh yeah, Jesus Christ, could you see me just going on like live Twitch debate bros, but all in French? See me like
Why
swearing
not?
as a Quebecer?
Let's do it.
There's
Let's go. I'll moderate.
I wonder if there's much of an audience for the French debates.
You'll get Mr. Geek's audience. He has like, I think, usually 7 viewers.
I'm not very familiar with him.
Oh,
Um,
okay. He's Dylan's editor. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
anyways,
anyways, yeah, it's interesting.
going back on subject. Yeah, it's really interesting to see this kind of deal going on, especially because it's like coming from a really adversarial point where the Liberals strong armed the NDP into supporting them during the Emergency Act dealings. I remember I was really unhappy with that.
I like that.
I
That's
specifically
politics, baby.
like for the Emergencies Act, I really didn't like it. I specifically like went to the I think it's the adjoint chief of the NDP, Alexandre Bourres, who's the only MP in Quebec right now. I personally messaged him because we follow each other on social media, and I was just like, "Yo, don't do this." Um, yeah, and I sent him a couple emails too. Um,
Interesting.
but at the end of the day, it happened. It happened, and I
Didn't you
just
didn't you go talk to Vosh about the trucker thing?
I did. That was a really bad performance of mine. Uh,
Oh, really? I never got to listen to it.
yeah, I mean the. At the same time, it's like I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of Canada of the Montreal chapter, and we've been talking about the on the national side of just going like, okay, what are things that we can do
You got
to.
triggered? So someone chat saying you got triggered hard.
I don't know. I guess I did. I don't.
I'm gonna have to watch this. It sounds good. Did you got if you got mad, then I'm gonna have to watch it.
Dude, it was right after work. I was like super fucking tired, and I kept on zoning out the whole time. It was so bad.
Oh, that's funny. Now I'm gonna have to watch it. See, so something you got triggered out of this world.
I, I already exist out of this world. I'm zoned out.
There you go. Yeah. Listen,
Um,
those guys are good debaters. That's the thing with Vosh and Destiny and stuff. Is there's a reason why they're fucking successful. Is because like they're really good at it. Even if you're in the right and they're in the wrong, they'll still find a way to beat you.
yeah, I mean the worst part is I don't think we even disagreed on all that much. It was really more like his prescription of sending in the military that I took issue with because like the big problem with the Emergencies Act is the abuse of soft power, and so if you wanted to have it repealed on the right grounds so as to protect yourself from soft power in the long run, instead of always advocating for the use of hard power because it's easier to rally against. So
Got it. Cool. Well, listen, how's the YouTube grind and stuff going? Are you guys what
we
kind
we
of content
haven't
do you guys make?
we make a lot of like very short videos right now. We've also got the podcast. We haven't been very active as of late, mainly because Sid is always busy with his exams. He should be done soon.
What is
And
the thought process behind sharing a channel with someone?
honestly, it's like we came to. It was already a team effort from the get go, so it came in pretty naturally. Essentially, like we've got our group chat, we've got our drive where we share all of our different files. Yeah, it's like a lot of the time we'll have like our single videos that are like our own little pet project, and we try to coordinate with one another. So
Gotcha.
it's not really like it's not as difficult as you'd think it would be. Um, a lot of the time, like if there's like a decision that we want to make and we just like want to make sure that it's cool with everybody, then we put it up to a vote. Essentially, like we operate like it's a co-op. And
You
well,
and you and Sid, the two of you?
no, there's other people in the team. There's also like Chad Not Chud, and there's Burke.
Oh,
There's
okay. I didn't know.
Keegs. So yeah, like and there's Soul also who helps run our social media. So like I've also talked about Merrick about possibly joining. I was working on the like script for
A
her
whole
to
team
make our
effort.
first video, but like we've all been kind of like out of communication lately because Sid and Chad, they're really busy with their exams and everything. I was just like kind of dead with COVID for the past couple of days.
No. Oh
And
shit, you got
I've got,
COVID?
yeah, yeah. I'm still recovering. I still have some symptoms, scratchy throat and everything. But otherwise, I'm pretty good. Um, and I'm still busy on like the IRL politics front.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. Fucking so
it's
two
if
different grinds.
Yeah, it feels like I've got four jobs and I've only got one that pays.
Not hear that.
Oh,
All
Heem
right. Yo, is there
Suckle.
anything
So
else
is
you
it
want
the
to
audio?
talk? Sorry?
Sorry, I've been told that your audio is bad here.
Hmm. I don't know.
Uh,
If
yeah,
it's bad, you can always just pull it from my video and upload it. Hey, thank you so much. Sorry.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So Charles, just let me know if Heem's audio gets
I
better.
should sound okay. I don't know why.
I'm pulling straight from my desktop, so it should be good. Because if I'm hearing it well, then everyone else
Maybe
should hear it well.
maybe that will be better now. Hopefully, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think chat. I should sound okay to my stream. I think. Hopefully. I don't know. I always have audio issues. I'm a fucking rookie. Um.
But
All right. If
yeah,
there's if there's anything else, we can talk about that. Or I don't know. You pick.
yeah. I mean, there was. That's not even the full extent of the deal. So I wanted to keep on going over
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the full thing. So there's also in terms of like the House seats, essentially the NDP trying to make gains in Quebec wanted to protect Quebec seats because they were looking to like lose they were going because Quebec was going to lose a seat in the House of Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, what the NDP and the Liberals did is that they passed a motion to make sure that as of the 2014 count, no province could lose a seat. So now it's just based on the
What do you mean? No province could lose a seat.
there's a cap minimum of like you cannot have fewer seats than what you had based on the 2014
Says who?
count. It says Parliament.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean by that.
Okay, so
So
Elections
I have.
Canada like
So let's say I
does
have. Yeah.
calculations,
Go
and
ahead.
based on the population, they recommend that like said province have this amount of seats and that province have that amount of seats. Now, based on the population, provinces can keep on gaining seats proportionally to their population, but they cannot lose
Oh,
them
okay.
below the 2014 count.
Why would they lose them anyways? Are populations decreasing?
In certain ridings, yeah. If a certain riding doesn't meet the population minimum, then you lose the riding.
But is anywhere losing population in Canada? I feel like it's a weird
Quebec
thing.
has had like a net population decrease to other provinces. That's the thing. It's like
You mean it's relative to other provinces?
yeah, essentially like Quebec population is rising, but but then it's losing like I believe in 2021
It's
it lost
rising
like
slower than
10.
other provinces.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of that is due to like the IRCC mishandling foreign student demands to get into Quebec a lot of the time. And another part is having a very immigrant critical, to put it lightly, administration in office right
Right,
now.
right.
The
Of
first thing
course.
that the first thing that the CAQ did when it got into office was try and cancel 18,000 previously approved immigration application.
Classic.
Yeah. And so that's causing us a lot of
That's so
trouble.
weird to me, dude. I can't believe that. My cousin right now, she came here on a student visa, 2 years, got a degree in project management, and now she works as like a project manager. I think she's got like a $80,000 job, like on a work visa, and now
Hmm.
she's applying for a permanent residency, and they're giving her a hard time.
I
Like
know that's
they're
going completely against the federal policy too, because right now they had a federal policy to try and like essentially like speed rail people on a student visa who are applying for permanent residence to make them more to make it easier for them and to make it faster. But now they're making it harder, specifically also for like people who are trying to get into Quebec. Also, they get declined a lot more. I saw an article about it where essentially like the decline rate for the rest of Canada is like 41%, and in Quebec it's
Mhm.
61. So Ottawa is like declining 20% more for
It's
those who are
weird.
trying to get into Quebec. And a lot of it is saying like, oh well, it's because we don't necessarily understand how Quebec's CJET system works and what its function is. But like, the system has been around since what, like for decades now. So like by this time, your staff should be trained on it, should understand its function, should understand what it's about, and if not, then you should
Fuck.
hire people that do.
Yeah, it's weird. I always feel like Canada should just increase immigration massively. It'll help with everything.
I
With
mean, I agree as well. You know,
housing.
we have
Yeah, I
like
don't know, it's weird.
yeah, because like relative to its size, Quebec is
Have you ever
not
driven
nearly.
across Canada?
Not all the way across. No, I've driven
I
to
went.
Ontario. I want to be able to go to Nova Scotia during the summer. Because you know, like Sid is planning to go back visit the family and everything. He invited us over. He wants us to like hit the water together.
Yo, it's
So
so nice. I've driven to Halifax once, and that was crazy. But one time I drove to Banff, all from within Canada. We didn't go like shortcut into America. We went all the
damn.
way north in Ontario, across Manitoba. And dude, when you travel through Canada and drive, you realize like this is literally all potential. Like there is so much land that you could build on and people can live, and like there's so many resources. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah, like once you do that ride, you're like you realize this country needs massive immigration. I don't know why you're saying just increase immigration, bro. Rabbit wombat. Well, what does this take?
well, I mean,
I don't understand.
the
Immigrants tend to hang on one
it's
sec. Immigrants tend to settle in urban areas. If you increase immigration, you'll lose hyperinflate urban areas. Why can't you set restrictions on where they can live?
I mean, wait, who are you to tell where they can live or not?
Why not? You can say, hey, you want to come to Canada? You have to spend the amount of time living in Nova Scotia,
Nah, don't
5 years.
nah, don't do that. Just advertise certain
Why?
towns so that they want to live there in the first place.
I think there used to be a thing. I remember a few of my family members. They came to Canada. They came through Quebec though, and they had to live in Quebec first for a few years, and then they were able to move to Ontario afterward and stuff.
Really,
I
I've
don't
never
know.
heard of that. But like,
Yeah, I think there used to be some situation
I don't
like
know. It's
that.
like I grew up in a town that's like I grew up in a city that's literally famous in China. Just saying like, hey, if you want to move to Canada, you like move there. So
You
like,
grew up in China?
no, the city is famous in China.
You're giving a traditionally conservative immigration take. What is, I don't understand. Who cares if it's conservative or not, if it works? This is how my view of immigration works, okay? I think that the best thing to do is to tell these people, hey, you want to come to Canada? Great, we want you here. But you have to go live in, I don't know, somewhere in Alberta and help build up that city, right? And after, like, if they have, like, children and stuff there, they will grow roots in that community. Their children will make friends at the school, da da da, da. And then some of them, surely, after their time, will want to immigrate to Toronto, but some or move to Toronto, but some of them will remain in that community. And then as generations pass, that community grows and becomes independent. That's my view of it.
I don't know. You're already
Um,
making immigrating a little less appealing by telling me, hey, you got to live in that specific town. Like, whoa,
But compared to where
damn.
people are coming from, I came from Iran. If you tell an Iranian guy, yo, listen, what do you want? An unstable currency where groceries are 3xing every day? Or you want to live in Canada in a country, in a city that needs like development? A lot of people would take that option, I think. And those are the people I welcome here, you know? Like, fuck, those are the kind of people you want to help build the country up.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in Quebec, when it comes to immigration, it's like harder to deal with because you also have to like acclimate them to another language that's not the lingua franca of the world, and ah, we have a lot of really bad approaches when it comes to that. You know,
Yeah.
like like we do provide classes that we end up paying people to take to go to, but at the same time, like we impose that you have a certain fluency in French for you to be able to like hold down a job, and that makes it really hard
Hmm.
for immigrants to be able to work. You know, even anglophones or allophones, is what we call people who don't speak English or French. And I just think like we should be able to use more technology to make them like to be able to integrate them in the workplace faster. And in that sense, you end up like essentially like, immersing them in a French speaking environment from the get go, all the while
Hmm.
without like socially ostracizing them. So that they're immersed in a French environment, which ends up helping them learn. And at the same time, they get to set down roots and build bonds with their communities much faster. And also set
Yeah.
themselves up and establish themselves economically and like career wise a lot faster too. So it makes it easier for
I,
them career wise. It makes it easier for them financially. It makes it easier for them like socially, and also when it comes to
yeah.
learning the common language.
Yeah, I mean, like my dad, he did a similar system to the one I'm suggesting. He's a MD, and he did all his recertification again in Canada. And
That
part of the
is
deal was like,
so
hey,
tough.
you can go and do residency from scratch, all 5 years of your residency, or we'll put you in third year residency, but you can but once you're done your residency and you become an actual MD, you have to work in an underserviced area that's like desperate for doctors for 5 years. So he had to like pre-sign this contract. And of course, you know, he did it.
Yeah,
Obviously, he
of
gets
course.
to
But you
finish
save you
residency
save two
faster.
years of residency, and residency is hell. So
I think it was he I think yeah, he got to save 2 years of residency, start his career earlier, and yeah, he we like moved to a smaller town. And after 5 years, we moved back to Toronto. But you know, some people they would have grown roots. Like he really loved it there and wanted to stay.
I mean, I think
And
that's the way when you give them an option, you give them a deal like that, of course, then that would work a lot more. If you trying to like impose them to like live in a certain area, then you're gonna make it a lot less appealing. But if you give them
well,
an
that's what
option
ours
of
was.
just
It
like
was
it's a give
imposed
and
that you have
take,
to work. Well, ours was like it was imposed. You have to work at a underserviced area, like on
no, but that's
a
the thing
hospital.
is like they gave him a deal of just like, okay, you can do your 5 year residency anywhere you want, or you can do 3 years residency and then go in an underserved area.
Well,
So
my
see
offer
that there
would be
was
you
an
can
offer
come.
there.
You can either not come to Canada, or you can come to Canada and live in this town for 5 years and help build it.
Nah. That's an anti-immigration take, man. Very conservative of you.
Why?
Oh, man,
Why
you could
is
be
that's
running for
what?
the PPC right now. I can't believe it.
No shots. That's the most progressive. I'd say open the doors, let hundreds of thousands of people in, but put restrictions. Hey, you have to live here for a bit and help build this city up. And then after you're done, you can go live wherever you want, or you stay. I don't care. And some of the people will go, some of them will stay. That's how it's gonna work. I guarantee you. That's the only way that Canada is gonna ever become properly populated. Otherwise, it's just gonna be GTA expanding like a cancer.
Well, I really want to like do a better job of also acknowledging the different diplomas from immigrants and get them to work in their field a lot faster.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
for me, it's just like okay, forget even the like residency. We like put you to a test to see like how up to date you are. Okay, you've got some lackings. We put you like in special courses just to address those specific lackings, and then we put you back to work like as little time as possible before you end up working in your field as a full-fledged like as a full-fledged employee, and then in exchange it's just like okay, we gave you all those resources, you go like serve an underserved area for all that time.
Sure. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
still had the option, to go through like the whole process again. We just give you a fast track, and in exchange you end up helping us out for a couple of years in underserved areas. That's really important, I think, also like in places where like the rural areas are really underserved. So
Yeah. For
you need to
sure.
help like bring in more workers there and bring in more people, especially since like pretty much everywhere is dealing with a labor shortage.
You know what my dad did when he was like told you have to pick like one of these underserved areas. He made it like a requirement that the city had, because some of the places we were looking at was like Timmins, like just like places that are 10, 12 hours outside of Toronto and so small. And so he put like one of his requirements that the city has to have a mosque.
I mean, that's not.
And that automatically striked out like 99% of them and like
I mean,
narrowed it down to a
I can
small
understand
number
from
of
a
places.
personal like religious perspective, like, hey, I
But we're
want to
not
be able to
religious
have.
at all. We're not religious at all. He just used that as an excuse to like narrow it
Hey,
down to
whatever
closer to
tool you got to
Toronto.
game the system, I say you use
Yeah,
them.
exactly. But
It's
yeah, I
also
don't know.
like
It's interesting.
yeah, I mean, it's also really crazy too because I've been looking also at the history of Muslim communities in Quebec specifically, and it was crazy because before Islam was considered an official religion in Quebec, people would have to like gather in people's homes and then pray there. They didn't have a mosque, and then it turns out the first
Interesting.
mosque, I believe, ended up after the religion was officialized in '65. The first mosque was built on provincially owned land. Like the
Oh wow,
province just gave them the land.
that's interesting. That's cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. Canada's an interesting country, bro. But I'm trying to move out of here for real. I think
A
once I get
lot
my
of people
degree, I'm gonna
are.
leave Canada.
It's
Cause, huh?
crazy. A lot of people are. It's crazy. We've had the biggest amount of immigration in 2021 for like in years. The biggest since the 1970s.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying
I
to
think
say like, hey, maybe Quebec should like make itself as welcoming as possible, so that way everyone who's trying to get out of Canada is like, well, hey, we're Canada, we're kind of not. Come
dude,
on.
the thing is like, I think what the thing is for me is like Canada's an the best country in the world if you're like, lower to middle, like socioeconomically, then it's good. But if you're trying to ball, you're better off in America. If you make like 150K plus, you're better off in America than you are in Canada, I think.
That's the big problem too, is like having that other option of just like, oh, you can make so much more money just by crossing one border. That makes it a lot harder to have like worker retention in higher earning areas. But
Yeah.
I think it's really about giving a better quality of life. That's like
Yeah.
that's how we get people, Because like I
Yeah,
have
I mean,
people
like for
like right
raising
now,
kids and stuff, I think Canada's better
I
for
have friends
raising
right now.
kids.
They're planning on like doing their PhDs in Yale and Harvard, and like I'm talking to them like, okay, what are you gonna do for like insurance? What are you gonna do for all of that stuff? And it's
Yeah,
just like all of a sudden they
you just
start
bank on
freaking out.
being young.
They just bank on being young and having a rich family, which thankfully they do. But like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy, and especially with the freaking housing bubble. Like right now, I'm 25, and I'm thinking like I can probably do a first down payment in like 5 years.
Good luck. I didn't know
Yeah,
you were that balling. Jeez,
I'm
we got a
not.
baller on our hands.
I mean, I'm not. I'm just an accountant. I've been like working full time for like since I was 22. I've got a lot in my RRSP. Like I've got maybe like 20 grand put aside.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, man. I think as soon as my degree's done, I'm looking for jobs. Also, like I'm tired of the winter as well. So from on both fronts, I'm
The
gonna
winter is
go.
the winter is all I've ever known. You know,
Yeah,
born
fuck, I
here, grew
can't.
up here. Like my entire family's been here since the freaking 17th century, for all I know. So
There
it's
you go. For me, I grew up. I was born in a place called Ahvaz in Iran, where pretty much every day it gets up to like 45 degrees Celsius. So for me,
yeah,
this is
no, but
fucked.
thankfully here in Montreal we get some like kind of milder winter that get harsh for short periods of time, and then after that they're good. Like so,
Based.
so we're pretty
Well,
nice on that.
um,
But
listen, I don't know if there's anything else. It was nice catching up. We should do this from time to time.
yeah, we definitely
Little
should.
catch up.
We're trying to do more streams, so you should probably like come around and do all of that all over again. But finally, strategically speaking, who do you think is gonna win out from that deal?
I think it looks great on the Liberals.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I think the Liberals come out looking beautiful on this. They did the Emergencies Act. It went exactly how they thought it would. Then they turned it back, and now they're getting cooperation from the NDP on a very progressive thing. They're gonna bill it as like, look how progressive we are. We were in charge and we passed this.
The Emergencies Act didn't
And
really work out in their favor in terms of like public opinion, though.
at the time it didn't, but like they kind of overturned it, and now it's like no one really talks about it anymore. I don't think it's on the forefront of people's minds. So for them, that's a win. And then they'll use this to say, hey, look, the Conservatives can't even fucking pick a leader. Meanwhile, we're so progressive. We passed these progressive, ultra progressive things, and especially when it comes to like dental care and pharmacare, these things once they get passed, they're never gonna go away.
That's
So
true.
they're
That's
gonna be
true.
like they're gonna be forever known as like the liberals did this. Justin Trudeau legalized marijuana, got us pharmacare, got us dental care. Jeez, he might be the greatest prime minister of all time after this.
It's kind of crazy though, because I
So
haven't seen the Liberals doing any kind of advertising, like saying, "Hey, look at what we got done in terms of these policies." All I've seen are the NDPs going like, "Yeah, see, we only got 25 seats. Look at the work we got done."
yeah, because for them, they have to do that NDP because otherwise they have nothing to show for.
I mean, yeah,
For the
I'm
Liberals,
thinking
they
you have to
actually
do
have
that
the thing.
regardless.
They did it, huh?
I'm thinking you have to do that regardless. When you do a win, you got to make sure you collect that W.
I don't know. I guess the Liberals they'll probably do it anyways. Just give them some time. They'll do it when they fuck up again. Like if they have another wee scandal, they'll be
The
like,
we scandal,
remember we were the ones who gave you dental care. Shut the fuck up. They'll save it
Oh
for a
yeah.
rainy day.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan also of like the pharmacare being like means tested too either. Like I think
I
it's like
am. Fuck that.
like no. Like I think that pharmacare is like here in Quebec it's kind of like it's not really means tested, but it kind of is. Where essentially like if you have access to a private plan through your employer, you have to take it. If you don't, then you're on the public plan by default. Like you have to sign up for the public plan, and you're not allowed to not have pharmacare insurance.
Okay, what's the problem?
Well, the big problem is that since you're mandated to get on the private plan, as soon as you have access to one, then the public and private never enter competition, and that makes it so that the private never ends up really having to reduce its prices because it doesn't feel that public.
But you just said if you
that
don't
public
go on the private,
service
you
man-
have to go on the public. No?
No, it's if you have access to the private, you have to get on the private. If you don't, then you get on the public, and you're not allowed to not have pharmacare.
Who cares though? The private ones are pretty good.
I care because it ends up causing people more money because then the private ends up like having all of the room they need to maximize their premiums and maximize their profit. Meanwhile, who ends up benefiting from that lack of
But
competition?
you're
It's
wrong
the
on
private
that. Sorry,
sector.
you're wrong on that.
Yeah,
Because
no, I'm
already
right.
as is, there's tons of
I could
options
send
for
you.
the private.
I can send
Right?
you
Wait,
some
sorry.
fucking studies, my man.
Wait, one sec.
No, it's because the private sector ends up
when a
normalizing along industry averages, right? So that's what ends up happening. But if the industry itself isn't
But
facing competition from the public
private ones
sector,
are
then the
already.
industry ends up normalizing along a higher
Sorry,
average than otherwise. That's why
one sec.
having pressure from the public sector is important, because it forces the
One
private
sec.
sector to reduce its cost industry-wide.
One sec. The privates are already in competition with each other, though. When you're a private employer and you have to get dental care for your employees, you're already choosing from a number of options. So they're already in competition with each other.
I already just addressed that.
Sorry, can you address it again?
Okay, so private insurers end up putting their prices alongside industry averages. When you don't
When you
have
say industry averages, what do you mean? Like the other private
well,
suppliers, I guess?
all of
And then
the
it would
other
be the case.
all of the other like private sector firms, they know what their competition is charging, so they end up trying to remain competitive with each other, but they're not competing with the public sector, which is operating nonprofit. So what happens is that the industry as a whole has a higher premium average. It has a higher average in terms of premiums than otherwise. So then, because of that lack of competition, the private industry ends up as a whole charging more than it would if it was competing with the public sector.
Let me ask you a question. So do you think that we'll get to a place where the public one is so good that employers don't need to stop covering?
The public one already covers about just as much as the private plans. The
So
whole
what I'm
different
saying
thing is
is,
that the private
will we
plans
get to a
come with a
place?
bundle, but then as public services, like now we're getting dental care, we might get other public insurance plans down the line. I would have I'm in big favor of having like a public option for every kind of insurance. So
Do you think? So wait, what I'm asking is, do you think we'll maybe get to a place where employers don't have to give you dental health care anymore? You can just get it from the government. Like,
yeah,
if it's beneficial and better and stuff, that like there won't be this mandate that as an employer you have to give dental care anymore.
well that's the thing. Like if there's a public plan, then already you don't necessarily have to, because hey, there's already the public option. So
Right.
that's the thing. When you give people a choice between the public and the private, that means that you put the public and the private in direct competition. That makes it so that the minimum floor that the public provides kind of needs to compete with the private, so as to assure that people want to stick with the public, so as to not like enrich the private too much, and so as to make sure that the services that the people who rely on the public are on par with what the population as a whole is getting. And also, what you want is for the private to be in competition with the public, to get that pressure to lower their premiums as an industry.
True. I guess we'll hopefully over time it gets more.
It's all about like increasing competition between the public and the private sector,
Of course,
so as to force the private to lower its prices. And also, by being in direct competition, the public also needs to like maintain its services to be on par
Right.
with the private. A lot of the time, also, this hasn't really been an issue with the public. If you look at the public plan versus the private plans in Quebec, they cover about just as much in terms of pharmacare.
Gotcha.
It's like about you pay a small fee per month, like about $30, and you have like 80% of usually it's generics that are covered. It's not
Yeah.
name brand, but you get generics, and the molecule is the same for most of the time. For most of the time, there's very few
Yeah.
medications that there's a difference. So people usually don't care; they just go with the generic.
Gotcha. All right, there you go. Is there anything else you want to mention? Or do you want to shout yourself out?
Yeah,
I gotta go to work soon, anyways.
Yeah, sure. Come check us out on the Nordic Model. We're on YouTube. Our podcast is also on Spotify, Audible, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're there. And follow us on Twitter. And you know, if there's we have also got a Discord. So if you want to catch our Discord, just literally click in the description of any of our videos from the last month, and you'll be able to find the link there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Let's do this again around provincial election time, okay?
Oh, yours or mine?
When is yours?
They're starting in August. People are going to the polls in October.
Okay. Well, mine's coming up first, so we'll talk around then.
Oh, all right, sure. And we'll
All right,
try and set
buddy.
up those French streams.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. All right. Have a good one. All right.
Yeah, you too. All right,
Okay. Take care. Bye.
bye. Okay. Well, I think that went well. We didn't have a big chat because it was a little impromptu. Wanted to have a bit more of a plan, but this went pretty well. For people who want us to do more streams like this, who want us to maybe even adapt the interview so that we have a bit more of a live element, have more people in chat. Make sure to let us know in the Discord. Make sure to also, let us know on Twitter, in our YouTube comment section, all of it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Do the algo, do the algorithm. Okay. Well, I actually have some work also to deal with my candidacy stuff. Um, Shout me out. Yeah. I'll send in the link in the chats before leaving, but I just wanted to say goodbye to everybody just as everyone is coming in. Oh, you shot. Oh, thank you, Charles. Thank you for that shout out. I wasn't really in a state of mind to do that because I literally just woke up. I wanted to do this at 10 a.m. and then. Oh, Chuck. Oh, cool. Well, you were the perfect person to do that then, since you're already Heem's mod. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go because I have work to do in terms of my candidacy. Going to collect those signatures. So I will leave you guys there. All right. See you guys. Bye.